Alright, Helldivers, today we're going to be taking a look at some of the changes that have happened in Helldivers 2. We are going to be kind of all over the place with this, but let's get into the weeds going with the Ballistic Shield. So, the Ballistic Shield had its mesh area, right? So, its hitbox updated to where more of the Helldiver would not be seen, like past the shield, like you tucked the shoulder in, gave it a little bit more agency, more of the gun out, less shoulder out, so you can't really get popped. You will still get hit while having this shield. You don't have 110% like immunity from lasers and damage from enemies and whatnot, but the Ballistic Shield does do something unique. I don't know, it's always done this, but when I tried to use the Ballistic Shield before in the past, it just wasn't great. So when you are tucked down in the crouching position, as you see, some of the melees hit, some melees don't, and it's doing consistent damage, right? I'm thinking it's doing consistent damage, or I don't know, could be placebo effect of it doing consistent damage while I have the Ballistic Shield out and I'm kind of tucked away. Because if those enemies, if I'm in a crouch position, if they were to punch me while I don't have the Ballistic Shield, it will do critical damage. I'm thinking that there's some type of hitbox there kind of protecting your head with the Ballistic Shield. You're still taking damage, but you're not taking critical hit damage as though you were unprotected. Because currently right now, the helmets have no real protection, like no armor stat, no real gains to the fight. Now, holding the Ballistic Shield, you can see these littler automaton enemies shooting me. I'm moving left to right. Before, if you was using the Ballistic Shield, you would get hit. Like, no matter what, you're just getting tore up left and right. Your shoulder was exposed, your feet are exposed. And then when you went into the first person mode, it still didn't really change anything with having the Ballistic Shield active. It really just doesn't make it to where you wanted to use the Ballistic Shield. Now the Ballistic Shield has some agency, and again, I'm still harping on this Ballistic Shield because I think people really wanted to use it, but it was bad. It was fundamentally bad. Now overall, the Ballistic Shield doesn't feel absolutely terrible. The Senator, I want to say that's what this 6-shooter type of hand cannon pistol is. It does medium armor penetration. It may have always done medium armor penetration, not sure. It always felt good. The reload speed on it felt a bit bad, but when you use the Ballistic Shield now, you see, I don't know if it did it before, but the gun rests on the shield and it gives it a 30% possibly recoil reduction. So you can hit more of your shots while having the Ballistic Shield. You can do that walking effect. And as you see, when I dove with it and it was kind of in my hand, it did fall out of my hand, so I do have to pick up the Ballistic Shield again. I did not personally drop it. I jumped and then it dropped off of me when I landed on my side. The Ballistic Shield combined with the one-handed weapons, the Senator, the submachine guns, it's a viable tool now to use when it comes to picking up those SSD drives and running. So the Ballistic Shield will be on your back. As you see, when it's on your back, it's in a collapsed state, and so it doesn't give you that much agency like what you want. I really wish it was still like expanded if you had it in your hands when you have like the Senator or you have the submachine gun equipped. It would stay expanded and it would close up like you had agency over it closing. But going into the arc thrower, but the Ballistic Shield does protect you a little bit more on the backside. Now, the Arc Thrower got a little bit of a nerf from 50 meters to 30 meters. This thing still shoots out extremely far, and it does still do the chain lightning effect. So still wear your arc armor if you got a buddy using it. It will shoot through an enemy. That enemy will shoot through, and then will go over to you, and then you'll be zapped off into La La Land. But it still does a decent amount of arcing, if you will, but you can no longer spam it for the 0.2 seconds that it was. There's no longer a half charge. There is you will charge and shoot it, or you won't shoot it at all. Now the armors kind of got changed. Medium armor does like 5% less damage, but the heavy armor does 10% less damage. So armors have a variety of different types of armor ratings. So how is the armor ratings affecting the different types of armors that we have here? We have mediums with like 126. We have heavies that are in 150. You have light armors that have like a 75, some light armors that are at 50. If we're just doing flat bonuses and flat damage reductions, that really should just be changed in the UI. A lot of things in the UI just doesn't like add up to what the developer is trying to tell us. And we need more armor things like the cape to provide like cold resistance or heat resistance or something like that. It should have some type of passive elemental type of resistance to it. And the helmets can provide us with like maybe 2%, 5% less recoil on something or less flinch when you get hit. It needs to provide some sort of type of agency with these helmets and these capes. If the armor's being inconsistent, we need some more passive perks on the armor, and that would give us more build variety for this now over the shoulder Helldivers, because the game is still good, but it still feels like it's trapped in this over the top head view of it being a simple game. It has evolved way more than just being a simple game. It is an evolving game with a big player base that demands more and more of it, and that's a good thing because we like the game. Now, if we're talking fire damage, so the fire damage got increased by 50% from all sources. I don't know if I'm going to show it in this video, but when you touch fire, you will instantly start burning, like you will die. You can't stem fast enough, then you will get burned. So maybe that's a hint to where we're gonna get fire resistant armor, and that's gonna be great for the flamethrower. The flamethrower got a little bit of a buff. It's more viable against bots now. The napalm sometimes destroys the buildings with the fabricators. I don't know if it's doing a armor piercing thing, cooking the inside of the fabricators, but it's janky because you'll throw a napalm, sometimes it'll destroy it. So as good as an airstrike, you see the missiles come down, then the napalm hits, and then sometimes you'll see it hit and it won't do anything. And you're just like, well, that was a waste of napalm strike. So you can go in with a napalm, you can go in with an airstrike. Is it able to close bug holes? I haven't tested that out yet. You guys can test that out. Let me know in the comment section below if the napalm now closes bug holes. But you will see that sometimes it does destroy fabricator sets. And when you throw a perfect napalm, it will decimate the robots, just like you always wanted it to do. You want it to melt the robots, you want it to melt the bugs. That 50% damage increase and the impact, you see the smoke come up from the ground, you see the impact, you see that I instantly get that kill counter up there. And the napalm is now doing like a combination of the airstrike plus this original napalm effect, because I want to say that the napalm kind of exploded before it hit the ground, so it would like before the actual impact, it would explode and then scatter fire. So it just did fire damage. The machine gun, it got a little bit of a, I guess people would say a nerf. Went down from 120 RPMs down to 900, whatever. It's the heavy machine gun. No one's using it, and I'm a big machine gun advocate. I like the machine guns. I like the actual machine gun and the stalwart. The heavy machine gun, it needs more recoil reduction when I am in a crouched position, or the crouched armors need a bigger buff to recoil, right? But if you increase the recoil forgiveness that you get with those armors, it makes every other gun in the game good. So the overall thing is the machine gun needs more recoil reduction in a crouched state. It can keep whatever it's got going on for it. It's still okay, but not having like a reticle on the screen when you're shooting from the hip, even if we had like the grenade launcher type of recoil, like reticle in the middle of the screen, would still make it so that we know where our shots are kind of going. But I guess they don't want people to be walking around Rambo style LMG firing it from the hip, shouting to the high heavens, democracy and freedom. But you're not going to get anybody to use this gun in the state that it's in unless they're on like PC with like a mod for recoil direction. It's just not good unless you change it so it can actually pierce heavy armor. I mean, if it could outright shred through a charger or even one of these walkers in the front, I mean, it'll be fine. But right now, it's about as good as the Liberator Penetrator. And why go in with the heavy machine gun if it's not really doing anything more than what the machine gun can do? Because the machine gun itself can pierce medium armor, and it's a lot more manageable than the heavy machine gun. The heavy machine gun, for all of its negatives, need to have armor piercing capabilities that of being able to destroy a Bio Titan or destroy a charger. Would that make it meta? No, because there's still going to be people who do not like the machine gun and the recoil that's attached with it. Increase the armor penetration, keep whatever it's got going on for it. People will use the gun who like the gun, but it won't be overtuned in my opinion. So you'll be able to utilize the armor to give a reduction in recoil, and you'll actually give it some agency in the game. Now the anti-material rifle got an extra 30% damage buff. Now that equates to it being better. It was already good, but it makes it better. But I think one of the stealth things that they didn't say there is that the anti-material rifle used to have a lob effect, right? When you shot the bullet, it would not go to where you wanted it to go, and it would kind of lob instantly after you shot it. So the velocity of the bullet wasn't keeping up with what it was supposed to be doing, a precision sniper rifle, medium armor penetration. Now it does seem to hit its target a bit more, and it does better when you do get within a proned or a crouched position. Now, again, I am utilizing the armor that has the 30% recoil reduction when you are in a crouched or prone position. So again, that's fitting into that fantasy of the sniper. The Liberator Penetrator does full auto now. It always pierces medium armor. And you see me shooting this walker in the jondals, it's going to take like a whole clip and then some change. If you're not hitting all your shots, the Liberator Penetrator just straight out shooting a walker is going to be still kind of a nightmare. But if you shoot the legs with precision, you're good. And that's going to go into like when it comes to the Jar 5 Dominator. If you blow off one of the walker's legs, you're going to knock it over. The Jar 5 Dominator shooting that walker in the jondals is still going to drop it. Now, the anti-material rifle here, as you see, I was in that crouch position. I was up on that little platform. And me shooting to hit my shots, I did hit my shots that I was going for. I don't feel like it still had that lobbing effect of the degradation of the bullet as it continued to travel from me to the enemy, right? So more better. I don't want to say more better, but it is more better, or it is better. Now with the heat, with the flame generation getting increased, I decided to go in and test that laser cannon that no one uses because everyone's on the Quasar right now. So the Quasar just outshines this laser. But for things that says that it has heat, I wanted to see if the flame damage applied to the weapons that have heat, if that actually made it better. The laser is still okay, but you can't really compete with nothing out there when you start shooting a laser. The biggest thing with the laser now, let's say that the flame damage for the increase of the 50% from all sources was good. Let's say it's good, right? And the laser's actually supposed to be doing good damage with the increase in the 50% tick, right? If the laser could pierce medium armor, or if the laser over time, as you remain on the target, could build up to more armor penetration like a laser should, people would use the laser. More people would use the laser, and you'd have a decent option when it comes to utilizing your laser type weapons, because why am I using this over the Quasar? Why not just use the Quasar? It isn't building up the armor penetration. It isn't making my targets light on fire the longer I keep it on them. So what am I actually using it for? I don't know. No one's going to really use it because it don't really do anything outside of, it doesn't do anything better than the Quasar. The Quasar is just easier to use, still infinite ammo. And if you only got 2 charges with this thing, it should be able to do a lot more. It should be able to pierce armor or generate a heat buildup to where the enemies light a flame. And it should be able to compete with the recoilless, the spear, the rail gun. Right now, the Quasar power crept the laser, hands down. So, the Diligence. The Diligence counter sniper, not the regular Diligence, but the Diligence counter sniper, got medium armor penetration. I always thought that it should get that way. It's that far down on that season track pass for me to get a higher hitting, light armor penetrating sniper. That never made sense to me of why it didn't do armor penetration of the medium caliber in the first place, but I digress. When you shoot one of these walkers with the Diligence, you're aiming for legs. You're aiming for legs. The Jondals, it has way too much health. You're shooting for legs. You're looking for a sniper shot. You're looking to clip it and clean it up and get it out of here. The other uses for it is you're going to be more precise when hitting Dominators. It is going to be able to shred Dominators quicker. It is going to be able to land those headshots where you want and pierce through their like 1.5 kind of soft medium armor on their head and make it a more reliable weapon like it should have felt in the first place. So as you see, boom, 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 and I easily drop him, right? I'm shooting him past his shield. I'm shooting him in his back a little bit, shooting him in his face a little bit, and it's going to drop him. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. But it's not going to do much for hitting vents. You're not going to be using it to main and hitting vents and stuff like that on these mortars that shoot up. You're going to want to utilize the Hell Bomb, the 50K, whatever you got going on, but you're not going to use the Diligence for that. The Diligence is more of a, if you liked it and you've used it, it's better than what it was now, so thank God for that. Now, when it comes to the incendiary grenades, you got to watch out for that when you're using incendiary grenades, when you're using your napalm, when you are going against a Hulk that has the flamethrower on his hand. All those things are going to be extremely dangerous now. If you didn't like the Hulks before with the flamethrowers, you're not going to like the Hulks now with the increased flame damage. As soon as they light you ablaze, you're done. You're going to need to get out of there, get out of the area, disable their arms. And I want to say their arms are medium. So in order to dismantle a Hulk, you're going to need to be aiming for those arms at a distance, or you're going to need to outright take it out with a Quasar. I think 2 shots with the Quasar is going to drop it, especially if you hit it within this facial area. If you hit it on the back, I think it's still 2 shots. The updates to the game when it comes to the Slugger. Now, the Slugger does shoot more like the Punisher now. It can't break through fences. It can't break the little walls that have the crates, I guess. You can't break through those anymore. But the Slugger's a little bit more manageable now. It was a lot of people's crutch. People would go with the Slugger, go with the arc thrower, and if things got in their face, they would. I think mouse and keyboard computer players really like the Slugger more than console players, because the Slugger is really unusable, and it needed medium armor penetration. If the Punisher is the faster Slugger, then the Slugger needed to do more. Now, I haven't used the Slugger in a crouched prone position versus enemies. It's just not my cup of tea. Maybe I'll give it a chance later. But the next thing that needs to be looked at is the Plasma Punisher. I think that's what it's called. Its hitbox is way too small. It goes through enemies, legs. It just doesn't do right. So if you guys want some okay builds with the machine gun flamethrowers, go ahead and check out the channel. I got a description of what localized confusion does on the channel. Like, share, and subscribe, and I'd like to thank you guys for even indulging me on this journey with the new patch notes updates. Hopefully more Helldivers news, more updates will come. We'll find out more and more secrets every single day, and I like to continue diving with you guys. So I will see you in the next one.
Men and women from all over the globe are joining up to fight for the future.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
Join the Helldivers and fight for freedom. Service guarantees democracy across the galaxy.